Hi, I'm Chike Coleman from the Wheelchair Watcher. That's Chuck Koplinski from the News Gazette and the Illinois Times. And this is Real Reviews, the Cinematic Underground, the show where we talk to you about movies that are new in theaters and sometimes TV. Chuck, it's been a while. What has been going on, my friend?
Same old, same old.
How's the movie scene been looking for you?
Hit and miss.
In what ways?
Some are good, some are bad.
Yeah, some are really bad. I did watch Train to Busan. I thought that was a really interesting...
Saw what?
Train to Busan.
Okay.
That was I think it was a Netflix movie? It's Japanese in any case, but I really like that movie. So this week I wanted to talk to you about two films that are relatively new in theaters. I didn't get to completely go to Blade Runner 2049, but we might be able to talk a little bit about the original Blade Runner as time permits. But the first movie I wanted to talk to you about is the Matthew Vaughn directed sequel to Kingsman: The Secret Service, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. The plot of this, well, first of all, the cast: Taron Egerton, we have Colin Firth, we have Halle Berry, we have Channing Tatum, we have, Pablo, is that guy's name? Pablo Schreiber.
Mm-hmm.
And the plot basically...
Jeff Bridges.
He's there, yeah. He's there for like a minute or two. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, did I mention redhead help?
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore, right. Soap opera star, originally. Julianne
How about
Moore.
Mark Strong?
Yeah, I forgot about Mark Strong.
You saw this movie?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so make sure.
I did, yeah. I've been trying to forget about Mark Strong ever since I saw Green Lantern, though, so that's kind of my thing with that. So the plot surrounding Kingsman: The Golden Circle, also Sophie Cookson was in that movie as well, is about Eggsy basically passing all of his Kingsman training and being a full Kingsman agent, and coming under threat by an old foe, as well as a new foe who basically is using drugs as a form of poison to poison society, and that foe is Poppy, played by Julianne Moore. And we also have Galahad, played by Mark Strong, who has... he's basically like the weapons guy, wouldn't you say? He's like...
Yes, definitely.
The weapons artillery guy. And basically, as a result of Poppy gaining control of the drug world, she decides to try and take out the Kingsman. And she does so, but she misses Eggsy. Now, Eggsy's been very important to the first film because he was a streetwise kid who basically had to learn that manners maketh man. And basically in this film, you really see a more mature version of that same character. He's got a girlfriend, surprisingly, the girl from the end of the first film. And you have this epidemic sweeping the nation where people are taking drugs and having these really weird side effects. And with Kingsman basically taken down by Poppy, we now see Eggsy going for help to another organization. This time, their American brethren, the Statesmen, led by Channing Tatum and Pablo Schreiber and Jeff Bridges, and Halle Berry as their version of a Galahad. I like this movie, but it's more style over substance, even though there is some story growth there. Taron Egerton continued to impress me in every film that he's been in. Mostly for me, this movie is all about fun. Matthew Vaughn, returning director from the first film, really is trying to show us all the style tricks he can do, and while those are amazing, the heart of the whole film is Eggsy's relationship not only with the Statesman, but with a former friend who was also an ally, played by Colin Firth, and how that relationship has affected him and matured him in different unique ways. I think this is a good film, but it had potential to be a great film. I feel like some of the action is more fast than kinetic and fluid like I'm used to seeing, and I feel like the film would have been stronger had you added in a better subplot of... Actually, no, give the villain better motivation than what the villain has, because it's basically a repeat of the first film. And I love the cameo by Elton John, and his work in the film is not I can't speak now, revelatory, but it is quite good. Quite good for a musician who you've never seen act in film before. I feel like it's a strong movie, but it could have been better. Chuck, what did you think of Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
I had a lot of fun with it. It's too long, for one thing. But other than that, this is all about style over substance. And the first one was as well. I mean, this is a world where too much is not enough. And they're comfortable with that. And for some odd reason, it works here. But because usually when that approach is taken with other action films, it really bugs me. This one, though, it just seems to fit because they keep going over the top every time and trying to top themselves. Elton John was great. I love Julianne Moore. And also, I want to talk about Bruce Greenwood real quick as the President of the United States. George W. Bush exaggerated to great comic effect. He's only got 2 or 3 scenes, but boy, he really steals them every time he's in them. So yeah, I liked it. It was a good sequel, and we'll see what they do the third time around.
I heard from Vaughn that the reason they chose Bruce Greenwood is because they didn't know who was going to win the 2016-2017 election, and they didn't want to go with Trump because they thought that would be too much of an insult to American viewers, and they didn't know whether Hillary Clinton was going to take it. So they're like, well, let's go generic and just exaggerate him. I think that was a very smart choice. My favorite scene, by the way, that first car chase scene, amazing. Everything that happens in that first scene, just great on the streets of London, high-speed chase, great. And I feel like this could be the next Bond franchise if they put a little more heart into it. I don't feel like there was enough heart for it to really sell me completely on all of Eggsy's journey, but most of it, yeah, I felt like it was good.
It's a comic book movie.
It's a comic book movie. You can't really expect that much. The second film that I saw, and I really went out of my way to see this one because I loved the trailer from the off, is the Martin Campbell-directed The Foreigner. Stars Jackie Chan, Alfie Allen, Pierce Brosnan. It's a film that is centered around an event that happens with the authentic IRA blowing up a bank, and someone that's caught in the crossfire is this guy named Kwan, played by Chan. His daughter goes into a dress shop to buy a dress for a dance, and the building that she's in blows up. The authentic IRA takes responsibility. Chan himself goes on a journey to try and find out who caused the bombing, because all he wants is justice and peace. He seeks out the help of do I say parliament leader? Is that effective to say?
No, he is the Irish liaison with London.
He is the Irish liaison with London, played by Pierce Brosnan, who had previously had IRA ties, and Chan goes to him for help. The guy says, no, man, I don't know anything. I'm sorry for what happened to you. That's it. You got to go home. But Chan does not want to accept that. He knows that this guy probably knows something. And this whole film is about Chan going on that journey to find out what happened. And I like this film because it takes risks that I didn't think were possible with an action movie. Because it's not really an action movie. Really what it is a political thriller disguised as an action movie. It works for me basically because you have Jackie Chan giving probably his best performance to date, in my opinion, in the sense that you're not seeing him do anything for laughs. Everything is completely straight and serious, and every time you see him basically, quote-unquote, going Rambo style to try and find out the truth of what happened to his daughter, it's amazing because the pathos of this character of wanting to find out the truth is so intriguing and interesting. Not only that, but what Brosnan goes through trying to both avoid and take out this supposed threat makes the movie compelling as well, because part of the time you're going to feel that Chan is the enemy, part of the time you're going to feel he is the hero. There isn't a clear one side to things until, in my mind, late in the film. I really love this film. I really love the approach that they took with this film. It doesn't all work, but it is very, very solid, and I want to see more movies like it. Chuck, what did you think of The Foreigner?
I liked it a great deal, too. One of the things I liked about it was that you were constantly being surprised by what the characters were doing. Even the minor characters or supporting characters, you think you know what they are, what their intent is, and then it completely changes. Brosnan's wife, for one. Brosnan's mistress, Brosnan's nephew. I mean, all of these characters, you think you've got them pegged, but then something happens. And it makes sense, though. I mean, these changes or these revelations about why they're really doing what they're doing aren't out of left field. They all make sense. And you may not agree with what everyone does in the movie, but you understand why they're all doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Their intentions are all honest. And like I say, you might not agree with what they're doing, but it makes sense. And I think that's what's often lost in an action film. It does focus on action. I think you're right. It's really a thriller with some nice action in it. You know, Chan, obviously, he's lost a few steps, but still at 63, he does things that no 63-year-old should do. You know, seeing those sequences, I think there's only 2 or 3. I mean, they're minor in the realm of his career, and none of this will be in his highlight reel. But you know, he's still a wonder to watch. And I still would say, though, his performance in Karate Kid is better. But you know, that and this film proves that you know he never really got his due as far as getting good roles to actually play.
Yeah. I feel like Chan is completely underestimated, and I feel like this is the one film, other than, as you mentioned, The Karate Kid and his role as Han there, where he really gets a chance to stretch his emotions and what he can play and how he can play it. It's not that he's just sad and depressed and mournful. It's that he is determined. And it's not like, oh, I got beat up by this one guy, I'm going to go fight my way out of whatever. It's, I'm defeated, but I'm not down, and I want to show you why. And there are a couple things that are interesting that he does that you would think, oh, Jackie Chan wouldn't do that, but you got to take yourself out of that mindset of Jackie Chan wouldn't do that because you're limiting the actor.
Right, he's not Jackie Chan here. He's this guy who lost his daughter.
And I think that is the movie's greatest strength.
And I also liked once we really find out about him. You know, that he's not just a guy who runs a restaurant. He has a past, and this is why he can do the things that he does. That was smart, and that all made sense as well. So, yeah, much smarter than I thought, and I enjoyed it a great deal as well.
Would you like to see a sequel to that?
I don't know. I don't really think so. Let's leave it alone. Yeah, because no, let it be.
Do you think the studios will agree with you on that, though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's only doing moderately well here. I know that the international box office is really the tail that wags the dog on anything anymore.
Agreed.
But you know, I think they'll leave this alone. Because I think Stallone and Chan are making a film next.
Yeah, that's
together,
true, they are.
So, you know, that should be fun.
So another thing I wanted to talk with you about today is, you remember John Wick, right?
Oh, yes, I remember John Wick.
I saw that for the first time recently, and I actually didn't like it. I didn't find it as engrossing as I thought I would. I don't know whether movies past that time period spoiled me completely, or I don't know, but the film centers on a guy who has basically left this assassin organization, and his wife falls into an untimely death. We don't know from what. It's kind of inference that you could say brain tumor or cancer or both. But his wife dies and gives him a puppy. He then takes that puppy on a ride after spending a day with it, and they get stopped by this Russian guy that says, hey, can I borrow your car? And the dude's like, no, you can have my car. And then they have an exchange, and he refutes the guy again, and then leaves. Next thing we know, they knock the guy out, and as hard as this is to say, they kill his dog. And then he wakes up, and he's like, I need to get vengeance for this, because this dog meant something to me. I won't tell you what it meant, because that's part of the crux of why the story works. But the action to me, none of that felt honest. It felt like, oh, we're just going to kill bodies to kill bodies, rather than the story actually, you know, doing something to evolve who the character was or is. I'm not saying Keanu did a bad job. I think Keanu did the best with what he could get with John Wick. And of course, it did make money because the action scenes were directed by a guy who used to be a stuntman. But I don't feel like I learned much or grew with that character. And again, this movie came out in 2014. I have not yet seen John Wick Chapter 2, which came out this year, I do believe. Chuck, what is your opinion on John Wick? Because I don't know what to think. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, tell me what I'm missing then.
This is not supposed to be taken seriously. You're not supposed to find out anything about this guy. This is all about style. I mean, this is you know, it's like when I was dating a woman and I took her to a Jackie Chan movie and she says, I don't want to see this. And I said, I said, do you like musicals? She said, yeah, I like musicals. I said, you got to think of this as a musical. Look at the choreography. Look at how people move. That's what we're dealing with here, and that's what John Wick is. It's a musical with guns, I think. The whole thing is choreographed down to the nth degree, and I think it's just fascinating to watch. The problem with the movie, though, is that we are glorifying in all this violence.
Yeah.
The director makes it look so incredibly cool that we forget that, you know, basically we are, you know, the carnage on display is rather disturbing. But it's done, I think, with such a flair that I never take that seriously. I sit back and I just enjoy, you know, this ultra violence, as it were, that's done very well.
I guess my problem is that every shot's a headshot, and there's really never any seriously tough moments for John Wick within that whole sequence of what, hour and a half to 2 hours?
Of course not. He's John Wick. Didn't you get it? He's John Wick.
Yeah.
One of the great things I like about the movie is that everyone just kind of, the first 20 minutes, whenever you mention his name, they all just stop and go cold and like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So they build up that anticipation so that when he finally does show up, I mean, they have to live up to it. I mean, John Leguizamo has a great moment there where he's got to take a stiff drink after he realizes they've stole his car.
Yeah.
And he's got to make that phone call to the Russian boss.
Okay.
Or the Russian boss calls him.
Yeah.
And he says, why'd you do this to my son? And you know, even the Russian boss is taken aback once he mentions his name. So he is this larger than life character, and I don't know. I didn't take any of it seriously. I sat back and have fun. You won't like the second one. It's more of the same.
More of the same?
More of
Okay.
the same. So, you know, don't bother.
Okay.
And the third one will be for the rest of us when it comes out in 2019.
Okay. Have you been watching The Flash since its return?
I saw the first episode. Haven't gotten to the second one yet. I saw the first one.
You and I are in the same boat then. What did you think of the premiere of The Flash Reborn?
It's fun. You know, and they're setting themselves up for a lot of neat things. The Thinker is a character from the comics, and he thinks of a lot of cool stuff. I'm just going to say that. And so if they mine that character like they should, it should be a rewarding season.
Are you surprised by the Caitlin Snow revelation?
What revelation was that?
The fact that she's part Caitlin, part Killer Frost.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that again sets up a nice dynamic with her as far as what they're going to do with the character. So yeah, it just constantly, it still has that fun vibe. It still has that, you know, I like all the characters vibe. So yeah, I'm strapped in, ready for another season. See where they'll take us.
Are you upset that Julian is not coming back though?
I am.
Because we both like Julian.
Yeah, and more than I thought that we would. I mean, I've never been a fan of that actor, but he really brought something to that part, and I thought he was a great addition. But of course, you can't say never with a show like this. I mean, I look forward to him coming back at some point, whether it's this season or next.
Now, we had a lot of Hollywood news that came out in the last few weeks, specifically surrounding Harvey Weinstein and his allegations of sexual assault, sexual abuse of either actresses or women in Hollywood in general. And we've been through this well before with Bill Cosby and his 40 women who he supposedly assaulted from the 70s through, I guess, the mid-2000s, really. What do you feel about that whole saga that's been unfolding and developing as time has gone on?
Well, I don't think it's done. I think a lot of other people are going to be sucked into this. I think a lot more people are going to be, their careers are going to be hurt by this. I think there's a lot of damage control going on right now. I've lost some respect for some people, not that they care. But
anyone specific?
Well, you know, I don't think that Gwyneth Paltrow and Angelina Jolie are the ones who should be coming out later. They were the ones who should be leading this charge.
I agree.
The power that they have as far as their careers are concerned, I don't think they're beyond the reach of Mr. Weinstein at this point.
Yeah.
Why are they the ones who are now coming out after so many others have? That made no sense.
The loudest voice to my, from what I've read, should have been Rose McGowan. And she's been,
Well, it has been.
and she's been kind of loud, but not.
What do you mean? She started this whole thing.
Well, yes, but also you have to look at the fact that you've got Gwyneth Paltrow. They're always going to go with the bigger names. Rose McGowan's not a big name, so they're not paying as much attention to her as they should. I mean, Rose McGowan, for all her credit, she's a fantastic actress in my opinion. She had Jawbreakers. She did Charmed for, 5 years? But she's not a name, and I think that's why the press are not fully paying as much attention to her as they should. Luckily, she's had a very loud voice on Twitter and used her Facebook to highlight these atrocities as they are. And the thing that I find most amazing is because of all this Harvey Weinstein stuff, outside of Hollywood, just as normal people, people have been, coming forward with their own stories and making sure that the people who have done this to them pay and don't do it to anyone else, or at least, are putting together things where they can guard themselves from that type of attack.
Well, it has had an amazing ripple effect.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, no question about it. This Me Too movement that started, this is all good stuff. This is all good stuff, and hopefully it will lead to some permanent changes where these things are concerned. Mm-hmm. It's like I say, we're far from done with this, and I want to be interested to see who else gets sucked in, and who else ends up being a hero as far as this is concerned.
What do you think should happen, by the way?
Well, I don't know. Obviously, he should go to jail. I mean, if these things are proven true, there should be some jail time there.
I would hope so.
I mean, I know the guy's loaded. I don't know if you can pay everybody off or not. I mean, that seemed to be the MO in the past. So, but I know he's under investigation in New York and Los Angeles now, and I believe in France as well. So I'm sure that the time has passed for him to flee the country and go to some island someplace.
Yeah, and what I like most is that upon learning about these allegations, his wife divorced him completely, which I.
That's a business move.
You think?
Of course. She doesn't want her fashion line to be drugged down by this.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, no, that was a business move.
It's sad the way the world works sometimes. What movies are you looking forward to in the next couple weeks? What's on your radar for things you love? I know that I saw Blade Runner 2049 to see, but are there other things that
Well, you said you saw part of it. What did you think of what you saw?
For the little bit of it that I did see...
Well, how long are we talking?
We're talking like...
5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour?
We're talking about the first 10 minutes.
Okay, well then don't bother them. There's a good movie coming out next week called Thank You for Your Service.
Yeah.
With Miles Teller. It is excellent. I got the chance to interview him a couple weeks ago.
Love him.
That will be on WCIA this week. So that's a good film. I'm looking forward to Thor.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to Thor. That's going to be great.
I'm looking forward to Justice League.
Why are you looking forward to Justice League?
Tell me why I'm wrong, Chike. You're always right about these things.
I'm not, but I mean, for me, Justice League, the thing that makes Justice League work, or doesn't make it work, is the fact that the tone is all off.
And you can tell that from the trailer.
You can tell that from the trailer. You can tell that from the past 2 movies leading up to it, except for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, they got it right and they course corrected. But I don't know if they've had enough time to really do all the damage control they needed to do on that film to make it successful, to make these characters likable. What makes you excited for
it? Seeing all the characters come together. I think that visually it has not gotten lighter, but I think the rapport from the scenes that I've seen is good. And also the fact that Joss Whedon basically took over the film and they spent $25 million on reshoots.
Now, do you think those were just small things, or do you think they...
If you're spending $25 million, those aren't small things. And I think I've said this before. I bet most of those scenes revolve around Wonder Woman.
To make her more part of it?
Yeah, because that was such a huge hit. Everyone loves her. They're going to put her front and center. And in all the previews you've seen, you've only seen Superman once.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're going to put her front and center. They're going to relegate him to the background, and they're going to start over.
What do you think about the idea of Pacific Rim, the Pacific Rim sequel? Have you seen that?
I'm not excited about it. Del Toro's not involved. I mean, other than just being a producer. So I'm prepared to be surprised.
Okay. Well, let's hope those are good. Next week, what do you feel like we should talk about?
I don't know. It's your show.
I think we should talk about Blade Runner 2049.
Are you going to watch more than 10 minutes?
I'm going to watch more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
And maybe, yeah, we'll see. But definitely Blade Runner 2049 because I love that.
Another really good movie that's out, also with Miles Teller, is Only the Brave.
Yeah.
A movie that really surprised me. I was genuinely moved by it, and much better than I thought it would be.
Okay. Well, those will be things to look forward to on our next episode. Until then, you can find Chuck's work on the News Gazette or at the Illinois Times, and you can find my work on wheelchairwatcher.com. Until then, we will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.